Locked in a Room. I'm Liar. This is a brief escape, a series of short essays to fill the space between our anime reviews. This brief escape regards score and ratings. A preface. For the purposes of this discussion, we will be operating under an assumption that we all use a 0 to 10 rating scale. Integers only, aka no decimals. Cool? Great. Right out of the gate, the most important thing to understand about numerical scores is this. They are, by themselves, useless, for a multitude of reasons. The most damning being that they're reductive. If I tell you that a 12-episode series is a 5 out of 10, what does that actually mean? For a very simple illustration of the problem, consider that if half of those episodes were perfect and the other half were abysmal, that might result in a 5 out of 10. That same score would probably also be applied to something that is just consistently average. And with no elaboration, you have no idea which of those examples this hypothetical show exhibits. Maybe the series is secretly a 7 out of 10 to everyone but me, because I just don't like the genre being depicted. Like, maybe I'm not a romance fan, for example, so I end up with a skewed result. Because of this, a lot of critics I trust and look up to avoid scores entirely. However, I find that these shortcomings of score apply only in a vacuum. Put in a broader context, that stops being the case. The numbers become relative. If you think that show A is a 4 out of 10, but show B is a 6 out of 10, that tells us a lot about your relationship to those two shows. Neither are your favorite or your least favorite. Show B is better than show A, in your mind, but not by much. And with the addition of show C being a 2 out of 10, while sharing a genre, and maybe even a director, with show A, we can observe a trend in things you might dislike. Put another way, scores become communicative of relative quality according to the author. You could glance at a list of every score that I've given and learn a lot about what I like and don't like by not only comparing them to each other, but to your list as well. Sadly, here is where we hit our first snag. Score is completely useless when used, well, I hesitate to say improperly, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to go with it for now. When used improperly, neither of our lists can communicate. Like, if you have given every show you've ever seen a 9 or a 10, I gain no information from that, and my scores all appear so pessimistic as to be unusable to you as a point of comparison. So, I'm gonna go on a little self-important tangent for a moment. If you have a hard time giving scores, or simply want to reevaluate your scoring matrix or framework, I'm going to offer some unsolicited advice on that. Just bear with me if you don't want that. It'll be over soon. MyAnimeList.com, in a shocking twist of actually doing something right, does a decent job of assigning descriptive words to each number, so maybe start there. Then, once you've given everything a number rating, look at those individual numbers. Like, for example, take every show that you have given a 7. Are they all on par with each other quality-wise? Or does one clearly not belong? This is much easier than applying scores in the abstract, so don't feel like you have to get the scores right prior to doing this. In addition, here's my chance to make a few requests of you if you're reconsidering your number ratings. First and foremost, please use the whole scale. If all of your numbers are 7, 8, 9, 10s, your list is useless to someone actually curious as to what you think about those shows. And, in my personal opinion, your credibility as someone I am willing to take recommendations from goes down. I want to know that if you recommend a show to me, it's going to be good, and I can't do that if your list has a mean score of 9.1. Second, and lastly, please don't use number scores like grades in school. We are not grading on a curve here, we are working towards a different end. School needs to evaluate your ability to understand a concept, and we are trying to map our relative feelings on a number line. As a footnote to that, here are 2 specific feelings I have on our personal scores. You get 1 point for showing up. Making anything is hard. Really hard. The fact that it exists is a marvel of human cooperation, and I'm willing to give a point to tip my hat to the work of the team creating it. That means that my lowest score is a 1 out of 10, barring one notable exception. Let's not go there. 8 out of 10 or higher for the Blu-ray award on the channel. It needs to be an 8 from both of us, so no award for Bunny Girl, for example. Okay, tangent over. Back to score more broadly. Now that we've talked about what score is, a statement on what score isn't. Objective. It is a meaningless number to communicate at a glance what you think. criminally reductive? Yes. However, that does not make it useless. As long as we all try to give number scores honestly, not correctly, honestly, we will have a better understanding of each other's taste. Finally, remember when I said don't use scores improperly a bit ago? I want to touch on that. Do I think you need to have a list, or give ratings at all, or give a shit about any of this? No, of course not. And please God, don't forget that. You can just watch anime and go about your life. Hell, I don't have a literal anime list anymore. I use this YouTube channel instead. This is mostly directed at the types who keep a record of their scores on anime and engage in anime discussions online. Whether that means starting slap fights on Discord or writing genuine reviews on a forum or blog. Because when you throw your hat into the ring of discussion, I want to know what you think. I want to know your opinions, and I want to know where you are coming from. That is impossible when looking at a list of 10 out of 10 scores given completely indiscriminately. The topic this essay continues to cross is communication, because practically that's all a score is, a discussion starter. It isn't a popularity contest. Review bombing or review padding is hilariously pathetic as a practice. Even if you are uninterested in the serious analysis of media, it does help communicate what you think about your shows at a glance. Then, after that initial glance, have a real discussion to actually give those numbers any meaning. After all, at the end of the day, all we want is increased discussion and the increase in quality of those discussions. Thanks for your time. Suzume review coming soon.